All right, before we jump in, let's get the important stuff out of the way. This is purely for educational purposes, okay? It is absolutely not financial advice. Please always do your own research. Welcome, everyone. Today, we are going deep, and I mean deep, into the PLAZM floor mechanics. We're going to answer a question that's probably on a lot of your minds. How exactly does every single burn and every single stake actually raise your safety net? Let's find out. So let's be real for a second. Are you feeling the pressure from this release window? I get it. It can feel like you're trying to ride out a pretty serious storm. But here's the thought. What if I told you that this storm is actually making the very ground you're standing on stronger?
Okay, to get how that's even possible, we need to laser focus on one thing, the floor price. Now, this isn't some hopeful guess or wild prediction. Nope. Think of it as your mathematical solid ground. It's the rock bottom value, the absolute safety net if, hypothetically, everyone hit the sell button at the same time. Understanding this is, well, it's everything for getting through this with confidence.
So how do we figure out where that solid ground is? Well, it actually boils down to a really, really simple formula. And here it is, the whole shebang. The floor price is basically the total cash in the liquidity pool divided by the number of tokens that are actually available to be sold. Now pay close attention to that bottom number, the liquid supply. That is the key to everything we're talking about today. The smaller that number gets, the higher the floor price goes. It's just simple math. Smaller denominator, bigger result. This chart lays it all out, right? Look at that big slice, the 49% liquid supply. That's the only part that can actually be sold and push the price down. Everything else, the staked tokens, the burned ones, the stuff in the LP, it's all off the table. So our entire mission, the whole BAME, is to shrink that liquid slice of the pie, systematically. Okay, so how do we do that? How do we build that floor up? Well, there are three main ways, three big levers that the protocol and all of us in the community are using right now to squeeze that liquid supply and raise the floor. Lever number one, burns. And just look at this number. In only the last 5 days, more than 106,000 PLAZM tokens have been completely destroyed. Boof, gone, forever. And you better believe that has a direct, immediate impact. So what does that do? Well, remember our formula? By just deleting those tokens from existence, we are literally shrinking that bottom number, the liquid supply. The math doesn't lie. If those 106,000 tokens were still floating around, the floor will be roughly 5% lower right now. Every single burn gives the floor a direct mathematical boost. All right, lever number two is staking. And wow, the numbers here are just as huge. In that same 5-day period, people have decided to stake another 110,000 PLAZM. They've voluntarily taken them off the market and locked them away. Now you might be thinking, but staking is temporary. And you're right. But, and this is so important, its immediate effect on that floor price formula is exactly the same as a burn. It yanks tokens out of the liquid supply. When you add up all the stick tokens and all the burn tokens, you get this insane number. 38% of the entire supply is now protected. It literally cannot be sold. It cannot create sell pressure, period. And that brings us to lever number three, the growth of bonds. In the last 5 days alone, 191 new bonds were added. Think of this as adding more horsepower to the protocol's core engine. Bonds are just this incredible flywheel. They attack the problem from two sides. First, the buy and build mechanism uses bond money to directly pump more value into the liquidity pools. That makes the top number of our formula bigger. At the same time, the yield from these bonds is used to fund even more token burns, which makes the bottom number of our formula smaller. So yeah, every single bond is a double whammy, raising the floor from both ends. Okay, this is where it gets really, really cool. Because these three things, burns, staking, bonds, they aren't just working side by side. No, they're compounding. They're feeding off each other. Let me show you the proof. Just look at this table. The numbers don't lie. We're talking about just 5 days here. Look at that. Over 100,000 tokens burned. Over 100,000 more staked. Almost 200 new bonds firing up the engine. Every single one of these numbers is a real action with one goal: make that floor stronger. And here it is, the big one, the headline number. Add up the new burns and the new staking, and you get 216,000. That's how many tokens have been taken out of the can-be-sold pile in less than a week. That is a massive reduction in that bottom number of our floor price equation. So let's zoom out.
what does all this add up to? It gives us a really clear, really powerful thesis for what's actually going on right now.
It really comes down to these three pillars holding up the floor. You've got burns, which is a permanent fix, gone forever. You've got staking, a temporary fix, but with the exact same immediate impact. And you've got bonds, the engine that just keeps feeding the whole system, making it stronger and stronger. All three, working together, are actively building a higher floor. It's that simple.
So I want you to leave with this thought. That pressure we talked about at the beginning, the storm from this release window, it's not just something to survive. It's actually the engine that's driving all this floor building. Every burn, every stake, every bond is a direct response, making the foundation mathematically stronger. So when the storm is over, the ground beneath our feet will be higher than when it started. And listen, that is not hope, that's not a guess, that's just smart mechanism design. And just to wrap up, a final reminder. All of this was for educational purposes. You should never, ever invest more than you can comfortably afford to lose. And please, do your own homework before making any financial moves. Thanks for tuning in.